Hi, my name is Rob, and I'm a 59-year-old mountain biker from Colorado. This is my journey to the Leadville 100 mountain bike race on August 9th, 2025. I'll be 60 years old during the race series this year. I hope you follow along during my training and the race to see how this whole thing works out. Well, here we go, episode 1. This is the start of my journey. I've been training for a little bit already, but this is the start of my video series. I have 21 weeks left until the Leadville 100 mountain bike race on August 9th, 2025. I'm really looking forward to the race this year, and I wanted to start this series to document my training and my race this year, and also offer any insights and advice and tips to anybody who might be watching. Now, I've done the race 3 times in the past. And just to give you a little bit of background about the Leadville race series, Leadville, Colorado, it starts out at 10,152 feet. The Leadville race is in central Colorado in Lake County. I live in Douglas County, down on the Front Range, but I train out in the mountains. As soon as the snow clears, I'm out riding in the mountains. But the Leadville race series is an out and back race course. It's considered one of the most challenging, if not the toughest, ultra endurance mountain bike races there is in the continental United States. It's 100 miles. Actually, it's about 105 miles based on the course. It does change a little bit. They've changed it over the past number of years based on land leases and also just environmental protection with some of the trail erosions and things like that. But it turns out it's 105 miles. It's an out and back, so you start in Leadville at 6th and Harrison, right downtown, and then you race all the way to the top of Columbine Climb. That's your turnaround point, and then you turn around and go back. The race profile is significant. There's 3 major climbs during the race. There's the first climb, which is St. Kevin's. Then you come around Turquoise Lake, and you climb Sugarloaf, down the power line, and then you go through a big long pipeline section, and you hit Twin Lakes. Then you do the major significant climb, which is Columbine Climb. So you climb from Twin Lakes, you top out at about 12,600 feet, and you turn around and head on back to Leadville. I think the overall elevation gain is somewhere between 11 and 12,000 feet, depending on the map service that you get. The route that's published on the website this year says 11,200 feet in total gain. I've seen some people get around 12,000, on their GPSs. But the race is very competitive. There's about 50 to 70 pro cyclists between men and women every year. It's staged out in a bunch of corrals that go out based on times. You can get a corral placement based on a qualifying race previously. So it's really important if you want to get a good time to get into timed corral. Everybody else, probably the first half of the contestants or the athletes are in the corral, the time corrals, and then kind of the general white corral is at the back. So my goals for this year are sub 9 hour. So I'm really looking forward to a sub 9 hour. And as I mentioned earlier, I've raced the Leadville race 3 times. I raced the full race once back in 2021, and my time was about 10 hours and 39 minutes, I believe. I've raced the 3-day race, so there's another alternative race called the Leadville Stage Race, where they break down the full race into 3 different stages. Leadville to Twin Lakes, Columbine and back, and then Twin Lakes back to the town of Leadville. So it's about 40 miles, 20 miles, 40 miles, round up, because it's about 103, 104 miles on the 3-day race. The 3-day race, the stage race, starts at the fairgrounds, which is about a mile or so away from 6th and Harrison, so it's not quite as long as a full-day race, but you do race the rest of the course. Now, I raced that in 2021. That race happens 2 weeks before the full race every year. I raced it in 2021, and I think my time was about 9 hours and 18 minutes. And I raced it again in 2023, and my time was 9 hours flat. So I'm looking to really break that 9-hour barrier for the full race. So to get a belt buckle and finish, to be a qualified finisher, and to get a belt buckle, you have to do the full race in under 12 hours. To get the big belt buckle, you have to finish in under 9 hours. For the 3-day stage race, to get a belt buckle and to be an official finisher, you do have to do it in under 11 hours. Or under 8.5 hours to get the buckle. Now, they don't have cutoff times on the 3-day race because every race is staged out, and there's no cutoffs at the aid stations. The full race, you do have cutoffs. So if you don't meet the gun time at each individual aid station on the way outbound and then the way back inbound. They'll take your race tag, and then you have to find your way home. So it's an exciting race. I didn't know if I was going to get in this year. It's hard to get in there, but what I did do last year, I raced with a good friend of mine in 2023, and then I volunteered last year. He raced again in 2024, and I volunteered this past year. And you can accrue volunteer hours, which is very helpful to get into the race. So I accrued 21 hours of volunteer time, and put that in with my race submission, my lottery submission in December, and lo and behold, I got picked to race again this year. So I'm super excited to get started. Again, my goal is 9 hours. I've already been training, and I'm following a pretty specific plan of training right now. And I'm planning to go on that into much more detail as I move along. I will shout out to my family. I couldn't do this race without their support. I spend a lot of time on my bike. I spend a lot of time in the mountains. I'm kind of focused, but I have a full-time job and other activities that keep me busy. But I spend a lot of time on my bike, and I'm spending even a lot more time. Historically, in 2021, I did follow a quasi training program, and I'll share that with you at a later episode. And I just didn't have the volume. And this year I've decided to really change things up and push it along. And that goal of 9 hours is pretty significant because I turned 60 in June. So I'll be 60 years old at the day of the race for both of them. I'm going to race the 3-day stage race again this year, and I'm going to race the full Leadville 2 weeks later. So my 3-day race is really going to be my final tune-up, my peak weeks, and then I'll taper off about 10 days after that and roll right into the full-day race, and hopefully I'll hit 8.5 on the 3-day race and sub 9 on the full race. I looked last year in 2024, only 5 people over 60 years old broke the 9-hour barrier. So it's pretty significant. It's hard to finish in 12 hours. It's super hard to finish in 9 hours, and then you get the pros that are out there, which are incredible. So last year when I volunteered, I was at Columbine, the turnaround at Columbine, which was fantastic. I loved the volunteer experience. So even if you don't want to race the race, if you know somebody who's racing and you want to get out there and really experience kind of it's the aura of the Leadville Race Series, I would highly encourage you to go out and volunteer at one of the aid stations, stuffing bags, doing whatever it is. I participated at the aid station 2 days on the 3-day race. I was at Carter Summit, and I was at Outward Bound. I was at Outward Bound, outbound on day 1, and day 3 coming back, I was at Carter Summit for the last aid station coming back in. And then I was fortunate enough to get picked for the Columbine aid station on the full day race. So we got up there early. We got the entire aid station set up. We saw all the pros coming in, Keegan Swenson, Lachlan Morton come rolling through. It was super fun. All the volunteers were super energetic, and it was just a great community experience. So giving back is really meaningful. It's a lot of fun. So I just wanted to start this whole episode off with just introducing myself and giving you a feel for what Leadville is, and I will continue to put out more content every week. If you have any topics that you'd be interested in hearing about, just put them in the comments. Please like and follow this channel. Pass it around to all your friends. I'd love to get the exposure, and again, share some of my lessons learned and let you see how I'm training to go about meeting my goal. So remember, keep riding, keep climbing. Leadville's epic trails are waiting for you in Colorado, and I'll see you on the next ride.